Good morning, another lovely day for flying. The wind's a bit too light today, so I thought I'd just go for a little flight and have a feel of the lift, see how good it is. I think my top landing skills are good enough that I'll be able to put it back down if I can't find any lift. So I can feel a bit of lift here, but it's definitely not enough to keep me up. I'll end up bombing out if I stay up, so I decided to come in and land. I'm really happy with that landing, got the wing nice and controlled, and since I've still got it kited up in the air and there's just enough wind to keep it up, I'll try and walk back to my launch point. Feels like the wind's picking up. There's another pilot out there who's managing to hold some height, so I decided to go for it this time. Again, I'll just feel out the lift as I go, get ready to land if it doesn't feel strong enough. My wing doesn't fly quite as well as all of the other gliders do in light wind. But yeah, the lift feels good. I'm going up. There's a lot of traffic up here this morning. Got to keep my eyes open all the time, make sure I stick to the give way rules. Don't want to hit anybody while I'm flying around. Always clear my turns. Nice steady smooth wind. Perfect conditions just to play around and have fun. The state of South Australia only has about 25 active paraglider pilots, so it's amazing to see so many aircraft in the air at one time. Alright, time to break away from the launch site and go exploring. Let's work the lift on these cliffs and see how we go. That spur line in front of me with the road at the base going to the house has an invisible set of power lines running over it, so I've got to be careful crossing there to clear it. And then we've got a valley crossing, so hitting the speed bar, get good speed while I lose a bit of height. And then as we come in, I'm starting to pick up lift again from the cliff face. This particular cliff face is nice and sheer and high and catches the wind really well, so I gain a lot of height off this one. So I found that I could just keep pushing forward. Another valley crossing. And then again, hitting a nice high cliff face, good angle to the wind, so getting lots of lift. The feature underneath me forms a bit of a bowl, so there's a small area where it's producing a lot of lift, and I keep slipping out of it. So Jeremy flying above me was keeping an eye on me and let me know to stay in the lift, doing little less turns just to stay in there and not drop out of it so I can gain loads of height, which will allow me to keep going.
Thanks for the advice.
The problem with this coastline is there's just rocks, nowhere to bottom land, rocks and surf. No place for a paraglider, but I feel confident that I can top land here if the wind dies down and I run out of lift. This shallow sloping hill is not producing a huge amount of lift, quite challenging to fly. Coming in for a touch and go, always pays to practice those top landing skills. Crossing Tea Tree Creek. On a roll today. Oh my god, how gorgeous is this place? Doing some more S-turns to gain some height before I attempt the next crossing. Always keeping my eyes open for places I can potentially land if I run out of wind or run out of lift. But crossing over Williams Road looks pretty easy. Stricko has made it over to the wind farm in front of me. I've reached the southern tip of Starfish Hill Wind Farm. The crossing from here is too challenging for me, and I don't want to get too far away from supervising pilots, so I decided to turn back. Casting my shadow over some beach campers. So I'm trying to head east of Tunkalilla launch point towards Tunk Head, which is off in the distance. This is a spur line where I bombed out in one of the previous videos. The lift is really good, and I think with speed bar I'm going to make it over the spur, past that house, and be able to keep going. Feel like I'm hitting some lift here, so I'm easing off the bar. Feels like I'm going to make it. I'm surprised I'm getting lift off this little spur line. The wind's really strong. My glider is making very slow progress along this ridgeline, and the wing is almost facing out to sea with my brakes up. That means that the wind's really strong, close to the upper limit of what I can fly. The good side to a strong wind though is there's plenty of lift. People often ask me if I get scared up here, and the answer is absolutely yes. I'm scared of heights, even though I'm a qualified pilot. Hanging in a harness like this above the ground, I find absolutely terrifying, and the experience of paragliding has been a fight against my own fear. But like anything, if you do it enough, you start getting used to it. The fear never really goes away, but it becomes a lot more manageable. Getting a bit low here, so it's time to work the lift and gain some height. The next crossing's looking really tricky, so I'm turning on my instruments so I can see my glide ratios and so forth, hopefully to make my crossing a little bit easier. So the next cliff where I can actually get some lift is a fair distance away. There's a large valley to cross, and before that there's some complex terrain. There's a nice looking feature which looks like it'll produce some good lift just before the valley. But unfortunately, there's a bit of a knoll in front of that feature which could produce some severe turbulence, and in addition the feature is in the valley, so it could be caught in the Venturi effect. The wind is really strong, so I need to be really careful of venturi and turbulence. After thinking about the crossing for a while, I decide to err on the side of caution, head back to the launch site, land, and consult with the more experienced pilots about how to tackle this particular site. So I'm flying along, all happy as Larry, heading back to the launch site, and suddenly the wind really picks up. I find I have to turn the wing directly towards the sea and can't make any forward progress at all. Really strong gust. So I'm looking down, checking my feet against the ground, seeing if I'm moving forwards or backwards, and it looks like I'm pretty much hovering. So the wind's blowing at the same speed that my wing flies without using speed bar. This is really marginal. If it gets any faster, then I'll have to hit speed bar and then hit big ears and come into land straight away. I don't want to get caught in wind that I can't handle. Starting to make some forward progress again, so looks like it was a big gust. It's backed off. Now I'm going to use my speed bar and try and do a valley crossing to get back to my launch site, which is just on the other side of this valley. Thanks for watching. If you've made it this far through and you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. I think I've got about 180 subscribers so far, and it keeps me motivated to make more videos, so thank you very much. And check out a few of these other awesome adventures.